Just let's wait till 8:10 and then I will start. Anyway, share my screen. Let me know when my screen is visible to you, guys. Hello?
Yeah, not it, Sanat. Not it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As of now, we're able to see your screen.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Sanat, can you hear me?
Hello, Sanat. We are unable to hear your voice, Sanat. Can you check your headphones?
Hey, can you hear me? Anyone can you hear me?
We are able to hear you. We are able to hear Shekhar. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Ajit, can you unmute yourself, Ajit?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Unable to hear, please unmute yourself. Sanath, some problem. I will ask him to.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, we are. Yeah, you are audible to everyone. We are able to hear you.
So coming back to my PPT. So SOA, service-oriented architecture, it's an architectural pattern uh, which is an architectural pattern computer software design in which application components provide service to other component via communication, typically over network. The principal are service oriented are independent of any vendor, product, or technology. So let's understand this. Service, in other words, service-oriented architecture. It's an architecture where uh, multiple services are bundled up together to perform a particular task. And this software is independent of who the sender is, what type of sender is, and where exactly the sender is. Okay. Also, it it is I mean it joins the two loosely coupled entities together. Okay. So when I say loosely coupled and when I say independent, let's understand those things better. What is SOA? SOA is a collection of services, as I told you, enable communication between services. Let's say services, you can think of it services as your web service, your EC services, your OData services. So there will be multiple services which are present in the market. It enables communication between those services. Okay. And loosely coupled, we will understand in just a minute. Okay. Why SOA? It is it is kind of increased competition and it's just basic. So just understanding what SOA is. Uh, let's take a live example of a browser. Uh, any browser you are using, Firefox, Chrome, Explorer, that is it is based out of a service-oriented architecture. Okay, your browser, you can think of browser as also your middleware. Okay, it is acting as a middleware between your human interface and the web services. So whenever you type www.google.com on the URL page of your browser, you will find it something is going, means you will see that it something is coming from your Google server. Okay, and that is all in the form of XML. Okay, so what your uh, browser does is it takes the command from the user, okay, or the consumer. We would be consumer in the case of our browser interaction. So we as a consumer, we have typed www.google.com. Your Firefox has converted that command or that request in XML format. Okay, it is hitting the Google server. The Google server is something somewhere located in US or Europe. Okay, so it has converted that Google to the XML format. Now, when the Google server got the request, it responded the same in an XML message and HTML page. Okay, so you are getting an HTML data in your XML format. So that same HTML data is sent back to the Firefox browser or whatever the browser is, and that browser again converted that XML into usable HTML. Okay, and then you see a page in front of you which contains white background and Google logo and all those things, the button, all these buttons in front of you. So that is the HTML page. So what your Firefox did, it converted the request in XML, sent that to the Google server. Google server responded back in the XML, the HTML data, and your Firefox again converted back that to your readable format. So it is kind of a request response uh, type of processing or type of architecture. So here you, we as a user, we are consumer, we are at the right side, okay, and the service provider here is the Google server. So both are connected through an service oriented architecture software, which is our Firefox or Chrome. Okay, it took a request, it sent the request to the server, and in turn the server gave a response. Okay, and now this is universal for all the websites which are present, but all the websites don't work on the same standards. Some are of PHP, some are of ASP.NET. So, or different front-end language or the back-end language. Okay. So, but your Firefox supports all. It is independent of which front-end language you are working. It gives you a response. So your Firefox is a collection of services. It is not only taking requests, it is also taking requests in different languages, and it is not language dependent. Okay, and about the loosely coupled means it's both the systems is loosely coupled. Both the systems can exist in the landscape independently. So what does that mean? Means consumer system can also work without the dependency on the service provider, and service provider also can exist in the landscape without uh, existence of consumer. But for the sake of some functionality, these two systems are connected through an SOA architecture. So both the systems can exist independently, okay, in the universe or in your software universe. But for the sake of some functionality, both are connected. it through your SOA architecture, SOA based software. So this is kind of simple definition of what SOA is. There are multiple software present in the market which are based on the SOA. Okay. You would be looking at your apps in your mobile, your browser in this, your your integration middlewares which you will be understanding. Okay, so just think of it. Okay, now SOA is also contains two things called stateless and stateful. Okay, so just for the record, let's think of it as stateless as it is independent. The client is independently responsible for its actions. Server does not track sets of client or ensure that the cache update stay up to date data. Okay. So again, I will say take the example of your browsers itself, where your Firefox it is keeping the track of the server. So one, let's say in case of if you have heard of where the browser we allow the browser to keep the cookies, then it is keeping the track of your servers or client. And if we are not allowing to keep the track of your servers or the cookies, then that is called stateful. Okay, so one is stateless and one is stateful. You will understand this stateful and stateless in detail when you are configuring the scenarios. Some of PI guys they might have created the service interface with stateful and stateless, so they might have been having the prior knowledge of that. But still, we will be understanding in the later classes. Then comes one thing comes is the synchronous or asynchronous call. So what are synchronous and asynchronous call? So uh, before going into what synchronous, asynchronous, synchronous just by the word synchronous means it is at the same time where you are sending a request and you are getting a response. And there is an async where the data is independent of the response. So the best example or the example which we do every day is your telephone, okay, any mobile phone. When you are calling a receiver, means if you are having an headset and if you are calling to one number and that number is not in the network, then you will definitely get a message from provider that service provider that he is out of coverage area. Okay. So that is a async call. At that particular instance, it was not up, so your call was not completed. But if you are sending the message at that same instance, SMS, and even if the receiver is not in the network, your message will still be sent from your mobile, and it will get received by the receiver person when he is in network. So this is the difference. Call is your synchronous one, and your SMS is asynchronous transmission. Okay. If you have ever worked on your iDog or something like that, little prior knowledge of that, then you would be knowing that iDog is an async kind of communication, whereas in your proxy or web services, whatever where we are directly waiting for the uh, response, that is a synchronous call. Okay. So this is about what is stateless, stateful, sync, async, and SOA means. Okay. Service-oriented architecture, it would be present for all the middlewares. Each and every middleware which you would be working would be based out of SOA. Okay. This SOA word is also used in your ECC also. There is an SOA manager or SOA configuration where you do that. So again, that is service oriented architecture. Okay, you can relate to that now. Okay, we will be understanding stateless and stateful little more in detail in classes or while configuring scenarios. Okay, so any questions for SOA as of now? Else I will be jumping on to middlewares. What are middlewares? Hello.
No, Sanat. Sanat, is stateless and stateful, can we relate to synchronous and asynchronous?
Kind of. Stateless means generally if you are even if you have stateless, you will be having a synchronous call, but it would be only for the cat means if the server data, if your middleware it's not keeping up that data, still you will be having a synchronous call, which is same in your Firefox also. Even if you are not allowing cookies or the cache data to update it, you have the synchronous message transfer.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to middlewares. So middleware is a software that connects to software component or enterprise application. Okay. Middleware is a software layer that lies between operating system and the application on each other's side. Typically, it supports complex distributed business software. Uh, Rather than going with the definition, let's take some simple example. Middleware is a software which glues or which attach to different uh, softwares. Okay, so its major task means by going with the name, it's a middleware. Means you have softwares, you have hardwares, and there is a middleware. Middleware itself means it is in between the two different softwares or hardwares. Not exactly hardwares means when we talk about hardwares as a middleware, so you have some connectors which connect to different your LAN core that are your hardware middleware. But software middleware which are specifically present between the two softwares or your ERPs or your application, or you can say your systems also, to different systems which for some specific services or for some specific functions. So let's say if I have, again I told you the definition of the Firefox. It is taking the request and it is converting it to the usable format by Google server. Okay, and it is taking the response back from the Google server and it is converting in the usable format which is understandable by us as a user, the HTML page, the colorful HTML page. Okay, so we as a user, we are not concerned what request means what if you are sending a request. So we are least bothered how that request is going. But at the back end, it is going in the XML format, okay, by the Firefox. And again, the vice versa also, we are least bothered how the Google is sending us the response. We just want a browser page or an HTML page should be shown in front of us. Okay, so that is again converted by our Firefox, our browser, to the HTML. Okay, so there are n number of tasks which are done by middleware. You would think that Firefox is just for this. Firefox do so many things. Uh, it also enables you to view your PDF. It also enables you to view your documents. It means all the services. That's why your this Firefox and Chrome, these are very strong and very versatile kind of software which supports all services which are available in the market for the browser, for on the internet. Okay, so it would be same case for middlewares also. When we talk about middlewares in terms of our enterprise connection, all the tasks would be completed or would be done on middlewares, like connection between the two systems, like integrate taking data from one system, converting it, doing some specific business logic on it, and then sending it to the receiver. So there would be uh, complex and distributed business softwares, means software in complex and distributed kind of processes are achievable on the middlewares. So it exactly means it takes the data and it uh, provide the data to receiver. Take this data from sender and provide the data to receiver. So it thinks it's a simple job, but there are so many things which are involved in middlewares. These are the list of middlewares which are present in the market. You have Microsoft Desktop, you have TIBCO, Web Methods, Oracle Fusion, Boomi, DIGO, MuleSoft, HCI, Sterling Integrator. You had MQ series. So the list goes on. But these are the major ones which are present in the market uh, for the middle as a middleware software. Okay. Uh, but if you search just middleware software, you will find a list of thousands which are being present in the market. But these are the major ones, and these are the ones which are being used by the major enterprises. Okay. If you have heard of Dell Boomi, I don't remember who was Dell Boomi certified yesterday, but Dell Boomi is also a middleware. It is based out of cloud. You have MuleSoft, okay, which is again based out of cloud. You have your HCI, okay. You have Oracle Fusion, which is again going on the cloud. So earlier, all the popular middlewares were on your on-premises. When I say on-premises, it means the software were present on the client server. Okay. Now, when I say on the cloud, so these softwares are directly present on the cloud of the service provider. So let's say Dell Boomi. So Dell Boomi, you don't need to install anything on your local or anything, or your HCI. You don't need to install those software on your local. Uh, Install as in you don't need to uh, uh, buy that. You don't need to buy that software and install with some patches or something like that. You don't need to. It is directly available on cloud. You can use that software for integration and the complex business logics. But earlier your PIPO, which is again the SAP proprietary software, that is an on-premise solution. So to use that solution, first of all, you need to install that software on your heavy servers, and you need to uh, update that software at the same time. So there are so many tasks, and it is kind of little bit uh, time consuming and what you can say expensive for customers to handle this software. We'll see the pros and cons of HCI and PI in today's class. Okay. Anyway. So what is the evolution of SAP middleware? So it started with Business Connector in 1996. SAP came up with a software called SAP Business Connector, SAP BC. So Business Connector, it was a joint venture of SAP with your web methods. If you have ever heard of web method was also big name in middleware earlier. So web method and SAP jointly created or developed a software called business connector. The base or web means the basis of business connector was web method, but SAP gave its own proprietary integration connector called your RFC connection or your means IDOC adapter or RFC adapter. These two adapters were provided by your SAP. Other than that, other connector, let's say HTTP, your SOAP, all those adapters were provided by web methods, and that software was bought up in the market. Okay, so this was basic architecture of your web methods, where you had your R3 system. If you have remembered name of your ECC, which we say right now, ECC 6. Earlier it was named as R3 system. Okay, R by 3 system. So it was the same name. SAP has the tendency to change the name after each release. So this was the R3 system, and it was connected. It was smooth. Yeah. So you had the R3 system, which was connected through business connector. This business connector would take the data from R3 system and would supply it to outer network. Okay. Let's say if you have another R3 system which you want to connect, then you need to have one more layer of business connector at that R3 system or any middleware uh, software at that R3 system, which would again convert the XML message into the proprietary or to the required format, that could be IDOC format or XML format. Okay. And if you wanted to connect non-SAP system, then again you need to have a middleware. Uh, over web application, it would be directly communicated. Web application, web content, content server, web browser. Your internet can directly connect to those. But for the ECC, for the R3 system or for some ERP, you need to have a ERP, a middleware present in between. So it was kind of simple software business connector based out of your, I guess it was .NET background where on which it was developed. Uh, but the joint venture only lasted for 4 years, and in 2000, SAP started creating its own middleware tool called SAP Message Broker. Uh, the first name which it gave to the software was Message Broker, and then it had upgraded the same one and gave the name as SAP Exchange Infrastructure. Uh, so Exchange Infrastructure, again, it was created purely by SAP from the ground up on uh, dual stack. Dual stack is something SAP people will relate to. Dual stack is something on ABAP stack and Java stack. The software was um, created on merging these two stacks together. Okay. Some functionalities were present on the Java stack and some functionalities were present on the ABAP stack. And both the stacks or both the platforms would interact with each other after completing their task. Okay. So this is the typical dual stack architecture of the XIPI. PXI, I would say it is the older version. So I will promote it to XI. Um, Here you can see you have an integration expert at the left hand corner. Okay. You have a process integration instance, okay, dual stack, where you can see your ESR or Enterprise Service Repository, where you are defining your objects. and your integration directory where you configure your content are based on your Java stack. In the bottom, you will find this is Java stack, this whole box, this is Java stack, and this box, it is your ABAP stack. Okay. In ABAP stack, you have the integration engine and business process engine. What is integration engine? Integration engine, you can think of it as your RAM of your software, where exactly your processing is done for both business processing engine and integration engine. And you have your adapter engine. I would be using this adapter very frequently till the end of class for HCA. Adapter is something which interacts with the real world. Okay. We will understand what exactly adapter is, how they interact with the real world today or in tomorrow's class. And so your adapters were present on both stacks, little bit on ABAP stack and majorly on Java stack. The two adapters which are not present on the ABAP stack, Java stack were your IDOC adapter and HTTP adapter. Uh, Due to, means this were the, and you had the capability of doing the ABAP mapping. You were able to do the CCBPM in this dual stack. Okay, but the major drawback of Xi was its performance and the bugginess of the software. But I or myself also worked on this for 2 years. So it was quite buggy, and the total performance of throughput of the software was very slow. Why it was there? It was because your each message which was getting processed was first of all taken by Java. Let's say a scenario where your file is going from your HTTP from your file, let's say a text file is taken. You want to take a text file and you want to send it to uh, some SFTP server. So that text file, first of all, it is taken by Java, it is converted to XML, it is provided to the ABAP stack, the processing or the required mapping is done. And from ABAP stack, the data is again transferred back to Java stack, and then the further processing or the receiving uh, functionality is been executed. So in the matter where the data is transferred from one stack to another stack, your processing time reduces, increases, I would say, increases, your performance reduces, your throughput reduces. So, and also there was events when your message gets stuck in the queues where it is transferred from one stack to another stack. So which was leading so many problems, and we had to do hard reset or hard soft reset of the software. There was some issues with the dual stack. So for this reason, SAP just ditched down the ABAP stack and only were using Java stack for creation of all the adapters and for processing of everything. Your integration engine, your business processing engine, everything was available on Java stack. Okay. So let's go to a PI. The recently name is PO, process orchestration. So your XI, PI, and then your PO. So these are all the different versions of same software. But I'm taking single stack, dual stack, and Java stack is different because there is many major difference in terms of processing, in terms of working, and in terms of features which are available in your single stack and Java stack. So one major difference in your single stack is that it's first of all say that there are some pros also and some cons also. So pros are obviously there are dominant. That's why SAP went for the single stack, which are um, greater throughput, better performance, faster processing, less bugginess. There were no errors while processing, and the software was more stable as compared to your dual stack. Uh, the cons would be little bit, if you were coming from the dual stack, then this would be your cons, that you did not had the ABAP mapping, you were not having the CCBPM, and so this was, and also means the configuration was simple for iDocs. So those were the cons. So, but some of these, like your CC BPM now in PO, that has been replaced by simple BPM or netware BPM. Okay. Um, so that has been taken care. You can do the business processing in BPM of your PO, business orchestration. But apart from this, the software is very fast, and it is very what we can say, strong software with major all the functionality provided present with it. Okay, it has been present in the market for last 15 years, and all the bugs and all those things have been already removed. The There are companies have invested heavily. I would say companies, which means your clients, they have invested heavily in this software. They are processing, means they are using it for quite a bit of time. There are so many interfaces which are being created on PIPO. So just understanding the landscape architecture of PIPO, you would, this whole software is in Java stack, so nothing ABAP stack comes into picture. Okay, you have integration repository or enterprise service repository where you do the definition. Okay, I will be giving you a quick overview of PI also after this slide. Okay, so let me go to that slide itself. I'll explain here. Any question till now? Else I will be directly jumping on to what is PI. And I am teaching this PI just for the sake you can relate to the software which is present, which is also created by SAP. So there would be confusion, or there would be comparison coming up while you are understanding HCI. You will say that this feature is present in PI, so this is this possible in HCI, or this feature is not there in HCI, is there in HCI, which is not on PI. So comparison will come eventually, because both the softwares are of SAP itself. Uh, but just for the record, for HCI, there is no, means HCI has been created or developed from bottom up. The architecture of HCI is altogether different as compared to PI. Okay. So there is no kind of conflict or the feature overlapping. Okay. You will see the terms which are same in PI and HCI. You will see the adapters, mapping, those things, the terms are still the same, but there is no direct comparison between the two, because both are developed on different platforms and different architecture. But we'll still see the comparison between the two in terms of functionalities. Okay, not terms of the features, indirect features, that here we do this like this, and there how we do like this. So there is major difference in that, but in terms of its, what are the pros and cons of PI, we will still look into it after this class or tomorrow class. Okay. Uh, so I'm just giving an overview of PI again, because there are times then when you learn your HCI, you would be required, or there would be chances that in that same landscape you have PI software also as a middleware for on-premises integration. Okay, there are chances, there are possibilities, or either there will be possibility where you are moving or migrating your interfaces from PI to HCI. So that is very less likely the scenario where you would be moving your PI to HCI, because it's SAP itself who is supporting PI also and HCI also at the same time. There is no sudden death which is coming on for PI as of now, or you can foresee that in next 2 years your PI will be dead and it's only HCM, because SAP is also developing and also researching on for PI PO also. It's not that it has just abandoned PI and it's purely working on HCI or vice versa. Okay, so you need to have little bit knowledge of PI also while understanding HCI. Okay. It's not the other way around, because PI is again a standalone software uh, which has been existing for years in the market, but for HCI you do require. So just basic information about middlewares, which I already told you. The middleware sits in the middle between application software that may be working on different operation systems. It's based on XML, SOAP, web services, service-oriented architecture. It makes the maintenance of integration between systems easier for any large organization, being a single point to point, all point to monitor for all issues. Again, these are this middleware providers: IBM, Oracle, SAP, Informatica. Uh, just for the record of middleware, this is your old landscape, integration landscape, before your middleware came into picture. So it means if you wanted to connect your SAP application to another SAP application, or one third-party application to another third-party application, so it was hell confusing and it was hue and gray everywhere. Okay. So to avoid this, means you can see so much of confusion, so much of monitoring, so much of tools to do a single specific task, to connect your one mainframe system to third party or to your SAP. You had to have two level of integration. First of all, mainframe would be sending to EAI tool, then it would be sending it to, let's say, workflow tool, which is directly connected to your SAP application. So there was so much confusion, and that to include your outer network also. But let's say after the involvement of middlewares, this is how your landscape looks like. So everything is connected to your SAP XI. You can remove SAP XI and you can write a middleware which is sending the data from each application, and it is processing in the business logic and providing it to the receiver. So this is quite simple as compared to what it was there before, and the monitoring, your communication, your error handling is very simple. At not simple, it is at one location. It is simple, but also it is at one location, so you don't need multiple tools and multiple consultants to take care of one different integrations. It can be taken care by a single software at single place by one consultant. So it saves money, it saves time, and it also saves the headache for company to work on to find people to work on different tools. Okay, so this is what your uh, middleware landscapes looks like after middleware came into picture. Okay. Now again, this is the architecture of your middleware, kind of a simple architecture of your PI, where you have integration directory or enterprise service repository, where you are defining the objects. You have the integration directory where you are configuring the objects. You will see what are configuration and what are definition. Just wait a minute. You have the integration server where you are doing the processor or your means all the processing tasks, and you have different software things applications which are attached to it. You have the SAP system, you have third-party system, you have third-party middleware component, and your marketplace or business partner. Then you have the system landscape directory, which is universal to or which is connected to all the components present in your PI. What is system landscape directory? We'll see just a bit, but you can think of it as a universal layer present in your PI. Okay. So it is again divided into three tasks: ESR, ID, integration user. Okay. Your in ESR you are defining the object. In ID you are configuring the object, and in the integration engine you are monitoring the objects. Means you are deploying or you are uh, your your we say interfaces would be present on live, and you can monitor the communication channels, the adapters, the messages. So that is on the integration. So again, your messages in PI are always in XML format, which I said in your Firefox also. The same thing it is common for PI, your PI also. PI is based on XML. Okay, it will be first of all if you are picking. Let's write some 5 uh, middleware steps which are universal for all the middlewares present in the market, irrespective of PI or HCI or any other middleware tool. So if you have pen and paper, for those who are new to middleware, write it somewhere. These are the 5 steps. First thing your middleware do is pick up the message or receive the message from the sender system. Okay. So this would be your first step. Second step would be converting that message to the XML format. Whatever message it has received, it would be in the format of text file, it would be in the format of CSV file, any web service, OData, anything. So first task of any middleware, the second task of any middleware tool is converting that message to the XML message, XML tag messages. If you guys are not aware of what XML is, just let me know. I will give a document over it. I won't be able to teach XML from scratch for you guys, but I would say just Google some this XML on Google it and read from the X3W, the W3, and read over that on the XML. Okay. Then the second step, it is converted to XML. Third step is converting the message in the receiver structure. So again, that means the mapping. So first, after converting to XML, you are converting that XML structure or the sender XML structure to receiver XML structure. So that is your third step. Okay. Fourth step would be converting that XML structure or XML message into desired receiver format. So let's say your receiver understand in file format. Let's say it only understand in some XML in your IDOC format. Let's say it's an SAP. So it only understand in IDOC format. So your receiver, your middleware will convert it into desired format of receiver. Okay. Then the fifth step would be receiving or placing the file or sending the file to the receiver. So this 5 steps, it is universal to all middleware softwares. And you, if you are good at it, means if you understand, uh, uh, if your basics are clear about these 5 steps, then your software middleware is quite simple because your UI or some features are changing. Apart from that, all the features are same for any middleware. Okay, so just remember these 5 steps and it would be good for you. I'm not only talking about HCI, PI or Dalgoni. It is universal for all, kind of universal for all the middleware tools. Okay. So coming back to our PI interfaces, okay. These XML messages are transported based on the HTTP or HTTPS protocol. So in your PI, these are transported on your HTTP or HTTPS protocol. HTTP or HTTPS is secure HTTP. Okay. SAP uses custom message format SOAP message with an attachment. Uh, it it gives an extra uh, property to the message called attachment. You will see in the HCI also we will be adding one property called one more tag to the your message called property. We'll see those things in later classes. Then the next thing comes is your PI supports 3 type of message delivery. Best efforts, best efforts again in the brackets synchronous. So if you have a synchronous type of messaging, then you have to select the uh, message delivery as your best efforts. Okay, you have exactly once and exactly once in order, which is your asynchronous kind of uh, uh, mode of data transfer. Exactly once and exactly once in order are kind of same. Okay, where exactly once in means in it is irrespective of in which order the data is going, and exactly once in order means the data is sent to the receiver in exactly the same order where it has been uh, by which it has been received. So there won't be any change in the order of the message. So exactly once in order, and this is asynchronous. Asynchronous means even if the receiver system is not present or it's not down or we are not expecting any response from the receiver system, we will be still sending the the messages. So let's say if I am sending an IDOM, okay, and at that particular instance, my uh, communication system of my ECC itself, it is not working or there is some communication connection error. So still my IDOC will be generated. Okay, it will be sending when the your communication is up, or you can send it later also. You can bunch up your iTalk and send it later also. But for the synchronous, I'm talking about the proxies and the web services. If the connection is not present, the message will fail there and there itself. And there is no option of triggering those messages from your means those stuck messages directly from your PI or middleware. There is, but in general it is asked to trigger that same message from the sender system and get the response. Okay. Now I'm coming about the design of your uh, HCI, PI. So So in design, when I say design, it is called integration repository or your service enterprise service repository. In the design module of PI. Uh, 1 second, 1 second. So integration repository, here we are designing the objects for your PI, for your middlewares. Let's say if I want to send a data from one system to another system, then the first thing I would require is the sender structure and receiver structure. So that structure, either it has to be provided by the endpoint systems, or I have to create it by my own. They will give me Excel. On based out of that Excel, I will create this sender structure and receiver structure. There is an option called WSDL or XSGs. Based on what we can import these structures also. So let's say we have a web service. So for web service, if my web service has a WSDL, I can directly import that WSDL in my PI, and my structures are available with me. Structure means some XML structure. If that is not the case, then there is a XML, and there is an editor also of your PI, which helps you to create that XML structure from scratch and provide the for each field you can specify the features. Let's say if it's a complex feature, if it's an integer, if it's an numeric, what type of that field is. Those things you can create in the editor of your PI. Okay. Integration means we do 4 to 5 things in your integration repository. First of all, we create the structure, import the structure. We do the mapping of the two structure. Where exactly this mapping is required? Let's say my sender structure is different and my receiver structure is different. My sender structure is in format of IDOC and my receiver structure should be in some text file, or let's say web service file. So to connect, to do the conversion between the two, we have an graphical mapping present in our PI. So there would be three types of mapping which are possible in your PI. You have first your graphical mapping or message mapping. You have Java mapping. If you have ever heard of Java mapping, you can write your code in your Java, in your Eclipse, and you can import that same message, same mapping in your PI, and that would be enough. Then there is an XSLT mapping. You can create that on your Altoa. Okay. Uh, and then earlier when you had dual stack, you had the ABAP mapping, but now it's not present. You are not provided with your ABAP mapping in your single stack PI. Okay. So this type, three type of mappings are supported by PI: graphical, ABAP, graphical, XSLT, and Java. So using this mappings, you do the transformation logic. Okay, you convert the message to the receiver structure, and you do the operation mapping. Operation mapping just defines which service interface you are using, which is your sender interface and which is your receiver interface, and which mapping you will be using. So this is the part comes for your design portion. Okay, let's go back to our slide where it defines. You have the data type editor where you create your data types, or you import through your XSDs or WSDLs. Okay, this is about your data type editor. Then you have content object, which is also your condition editor. If you have the XPath or something like that, you do that content editor, condition editor. Then you have the mapping editor. I told you there was message mapping, XSLT mapping, Java mapping. So you have the message editor. Then you have the business process editor, where if you know what are the, I earlier told the uh, CCBPM, for that you had the business process editor, which is now no longer used in your PI. Okay, so you can skip this business scenarios and business processes. Okay, and you have your system landscape directory attached to your integration repository. Again, why exactly your system landscape directory is attached to it? If you want to import your italks or your already existing structures from your SAP landscape, you can directly import those through your SLDs. So SLD keeps the track of all the systems which are being connected to your PI. Okay, so as the name suggests, system landscape directory. So it keeps all the records of all the systems which are connected to your PI system. So let's say in your SAP landscape you have uh, ECC, your BW, your CRM, SRM, or different HR system, HCM. So this all systems are present in your SAP landscape, your company landscape. So your PI or your SLD will track the details of all the systems, their installation details, and their patch details, which software as patch level it has been updated, so that when you want to communicate with those systems using the PI, the data transfer is very smooth and you don't need to do extra bit of configuration for that. Okay, and you can means you don't need to connect each time to that system. You can directly configure once in your SLD, and the data will transfer automatically to that system through the SLD details. Okay. We will see in later classes else. I will give you the document also for SLD. Okay. So this is about your designing part. Okay. Then comes the configuration part. So once you have done the designing, you have the sender structure, you have the receiver structure, you have the mapping between the two structure. Then comes the main task of which is your sender and which is your receiver. Okay, so for that configuration you have something called ICO in your PI. Okay, the ICO integration configuration, just forgot the full form of ICO. Anyway, so ICO configuration means you are just assigning a sender, you are configuring a sender adapter, which let me say means if the sender system is your SAP and the sender message is of your iDoc, so you will configure a sender adapter as your iDoc and communication channel for that system, which will take the message from the ECC in iDoc format and convert that to XML. Okay. The next thing comes is your routing. Okay. So which system this message should be routed to? So should it be routed to A system, B system, 3C system? So that message, that routing, it is done in the condition routing rules. Okay, or receiver determination. Okay. Um, then the things comes once the routing is done, what type of mapping should be involved? Okay, so should it be the mapping for A, B, C, whichever mapping you have created, you can define that mapping and you can assign that to the receiver. Okay, and which format does that receiver wants that file? So let's say my receiver wants the file in a CSV format. So for that I will either configure the file adapter or my SFTP adapter, FTP or SFTP adapter. Okay, so this is kind of your uh, configuration, the final configuration in your interface creation. Okay, then you have your business means going back to your slide. You can see in design integration directory in the last portion you have the collaboration profile, uh, parties and service channel. Okay, the standard parties and service channels. Okay, you have the collaboration arrangement, which means which type of security and which type of um, adapters we will be using. And then you have the routing rules. Routing rules are, again I told you, based on what message, data, or some predefined rules we will be sending the data to the receiver. For one sender we can have multiple receiver. If I am sending the data, I am sending this my if I am speaking, I am giving this data to multiple receivers. You all are my receivers at this point of instance. So there is no routing. You are sending the whole message to all the receivers. But if I want to send my message to a particular receiver, then I will unmute. I will mute everybody except one receiver. That one receiver, and he will receive my message. Okay. So if I dedicatedly say that it's for Arvind, so all the other participant would be on mute and only Arvind will get that message. So this is kind of a routing rule in your PI. We will also see this routing rules in our HCI also, exactly routing rules and how we are doing the routings in our PI. Okay. So this is kind of your receiver determination. Okay. Let's quickly understand what is adapter architecture. Generally, it is not used or it's not required as much as for us. Okay. So just think of, I will be sharing this document with you. In future case, you want the adapters to, and you want to understand the adapters. It is kind of little pro for us, not required as of now. If you say I will make you understand, but as of now, just understand that there are different adapters in PI. You have file adapter, JDBC adapter, uh, IDOC adapter, which are interacting with the outer world. So when I say outer world, it means the external world of your middleware. So when I say PI, so it wants to interact with your Java system, let's say. If it wants to interact with some servers, SFTP server, it want to interact with some web services. So for each entity, we are being provided different adapters for that. If I want to send my data in format of mail, then I have a mail adapter. If I want to send my data directly to my to one of the database, then we have a JDBC adapter. So there are list of adapters which are provided by SAP in PI. You have the A2A and B2B adapters also in PI, which means you have the EDI separator adapter, AD factor adapter. So you have a list of adapters for A2A and B2B also in your PI. Okay, which can interact with outer world and can convert that same message to XML. Okay, so at your adapters have only one specific task: taking the message and converting it to XML, taking the message and converting it to XML, and vice versa also, taking the message in XML format and converting it to the desired format. Let's say for file, it will take the XML message from the PI integration server and it will convert it to the CSV file or some IDOC file. So it has the task of taking and converting from one format to another. Okay, and you have sender adapter and receiver adapter different. Okay, Integration by content by SAP. So this is again uh, one major pro of PI and HCI also, that SAP is providing their integration content themselves. Okay. Which is when you, if you are using any third party tool, let's say desktop or something other than that, then this integration content you have to create by yourself. But because these softwares are provided by SAP itself, they are making our life easy by providing us the pre-packaged content, which is used, this term is used in your HCI, or your pre-built content, which is used in your SAP. So what are the pre-built contents? Let's say if I'm connecting my CRM to ECC. So this is a standard scenario, and both the softwares, SAP CRM and ECC, are existing in the SAP landscape. So what SAP gave is you just import the those zip files or those TPZ files to your um, PI, and directly your scenario means your you can have those scenarios created for you, and you just need to configure the sender and receiver, and that's it. So it's a matter of minutes. If it is a standard scenario, you can directly download that from your marketplace and you can import that to your PI. So it reduces your configuration, creation of mapping, and creation, development of your mapping. Very simple. Okay. So this provides out of the box integration for SAP solution. There would be some customization required based out of customer requirement. SAP takes care of management of this connector. Okay. It's not our task to maintain the software. It would be SAP. Going forwards, more content would be available for general notion. Now, SAPI, it is built ground up using open standard like XML, SOAP, and Java. Okay. PI provides interportability with other integration product using web services and Java messaging services. So let's say if there are some other integration products also in the market, then then you can use those. You can directly communicate to them also using the open Java service, open services. Okay. PI provides flexibility for customers and partners to develop their own J2EE based adapter. Okay. So for the PI people, you know that we can customize our adapter, or we say adapter module, or if required, we can create our own adapter from scratch using adapter development kit. Okay, but it is hardly required, and it will be the functionality could be achievable using the standard adapter which are provided by SAP. Okay. PI provides flexibility to design the transformation logic using graphical mapping, Java mapping, XSLT mapping. No more ABAP mapping. Okay. PI allows for importing Java libraries, defining external use, reusing them in mapping. So again, that is different altogether. It is called UBFs. I guess that is not required to be understand as of now what exactly UBFs are and those things. So this was it about our PI. Okay. So it was only brief introduction and knowledge about PI. If you want to learn PI from scratch, it is again some 30 to 32 hours session for PI also, because it's a very good, huge tool, and it is used. It has huge number of functionality which you need to learn or understand. But I have just given an overview of PI as of now, and we will understand the contrasting feature of HCI with in terms of your PI. Okay. that's why I just given an overview of PI. In future also, if there would be this point where you will need to get the details of PI with respect to HCI, I will be providing those things. Okay, I will be giving this all documents on ESR, ID, and overview. I've just now given the overview, not the ESR and ID. This document contain what exactly your ESR are, so ID and ESR, what steps do you perform, and all those things are provided with this. So this document would be shared with you. That will be sharing with you. Okay. Apart from this, there is something called ALE configuration. ALE configuration is required, or it is done on your ECC and I will be sharing this document, and I will be doing some ALE configuration while configuring my C4C and my connecting my C4C to my ECC. So it is based out of the iDoc. So I will be sharing this. I will be doing ALE configuration at that time, kind of little bit. So don't worry about that. Okay. But this document will also be shared with you guys. Uh, uh, I guess today or tomorrow, Bharat will be sharing this document with you. Okay. I guess I generally keep half an hour, 15 minutes for the questionnaire. So, any questions for me, sir? Because for last 1.5 hour, I'm just speaking and nobody's. I don't know if everybody has slept or what.
Hello.
Hey, we are
Yes,
listening,
sir.
Sanath.
Yeah, surely. I'm not sure, but I know it's a little bit monotonous and theoretical. But from next class it would be purely HCI. From tomorrow we will be jumping on to our HCI sessions, uh, and those two would be a little bit theoretical, but that would be with the diagrams and all these things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any questions, sir?
Fine, sir. As
I
of
guess,
now, it is fine for us. Any other?
yes. I guess there was one person yesterday who was from PI, from non-PI background. Who all are not from non-PI background? Hello. Everybody is from PI background in this call.
Yeah, yeah, Sanath.
Yes. Okay.
I
Yesterday's.
think I think your battery is very low.
Yeah, I'm just connecting. I'm connecting. 1 second. I'm doing that. Just a second. Give me 1 minute. Yes, sir. So let me know if should I continue 1 more hour or should I take the sessions from tomorrow? Should I start? Generally, I take HCI from a newer day.
Yeah.
For you guys, yes, sir.